Every time I read about ancient history, I can't help but get stuck on Sumer. They're credited as one of the world's first civilizations, but there's something oddly enigmatic about them, right?
Totally. It's almost wild to think that before Egypt and Greece, there were these people thriving between the Tigris and Euphrates, building cities and writing laws. But what really throws me is their mythology. It's so otherworldly compared to their neighbors.
Exactly. The Anunnaki, for instance, not just gods in the usual sense, but described almost as actual rulers who descended from the sky with unimaginable power and knowledge. That part's always fascinated me.
That's what stands out to me too. Their myths make these beings feel so tangible, sometimes even more like visitors than spirits. Makes you wonder where that imagery came from, doesn't it?
It really does. And that brings up a bigger question. Were the Sumerians just exceptionally creative? Or were they recording something stranger that they witnessed or believed in?
Speaking of the Anunnaki, I always get intrigued by how detailed their stories are. The Sumerians didn't just depict them as abstract, they had names, roles, and even family trees.
Yes. And what's striking is how later cultures, like the Babylonians, even assigned exact numbers, like 300 Anunnaki overseeing the heavens and another 300 ruling the underworld. That's oddly specific.
Makes me wonder if those numbers were meant to be symbolic or if they were referencing something real or at least real to them. The texts even talk about the Anunnaki interacting with people, shaping civilizations, rewarding and punishing humans, sometimes even creating them.
That last bit always sends chills down my spine. The idea of powerful beings taking such a hands-on approach, almost like scientists or engineers, which actually reminds me of the figure of Enki in their myths. So, Enki's a fascinating character. He's not the typical wrathful god, but more like a protector and creator, right? And the way his story gets tangled up with the idea of forbidden knowledge is just classic.
Yeah, and there's a modern twist to all this too. When 19th century archaeologists dug up thousands of those clay tablets, no one expected just how much mystery they'd unleash. Even today, experts are still translating them, and new interpretations keep popping up.
Which is how we end up with theories like Zecharia Sitchin's, right? He argued that the tablets weren't just myths, but maybe actual histories, including tales of a planet called Nibiru and the Anunnaki arriving on Earth.
That's right. Sitchin's claims were pretty bold, suggesting that the Anunnaki needed gold to save their planet, and even bioengineered early humans as a labor force. Whether you buy it or not, it certainly makes you see those old tablets in a whole new light.
It does, and it sparks all these debates about where myth ends and possible history begins, which leads us right into the controversy Sitchin and others stirred up.
The thing is, Sitchin wasn't alone. His books sold millions, and suddenly he was in the same conversations as people like Erich von Däniken. They all argued that ancient texts might be eyewitness accounts, just told in the language of gods instead of spaceships.
Meanwhile, mainstream historians aren't convinced. They say Sumerian myths were just creative ways to explain natural phenomena or social order, and there's no solid evidence for alien visitors in any of the texts.
True, but every now and then, something pops up that muddies the waters a bit. Like that 2015 discovery, a Babylonian tablet showing the Sumerians could calculate Jupiter's orbit with intricate geometry. That's a level of math no one thought they had at the time.
Right. Discoveries like that make you question if we've underestimated ancient knowledge. Could they have known more than we think, or does it point to something else entirely? That uncertainty is where the real intrigue lies. Jumping off that, what do you make of the ancient obsession with gold? It's not just the Sumerians, the Egyptians too, believed their god's skin was made of gold and buried their pharaohs wrapped in it.
It's curious, isn't it? Especially since gold wasn't particularly useful for daily life back then. Yet, it was almost sacred. Today, we know gold's vital for electronics, but there's no way they could have known that thousands of years ago, unless, as some suggest, someone showed them.
That idea that some kind of outside source passed on knowledge about gold's importance keeps popping up in these theories. And even if it sounds far-fetched, it's hard to ignore how gold threads its way through so many ancient cultures.
Exactly. Whether it's coincidence, shared psychology, or something more, the fascination with gold adds yet another layer to the mystery. And honestly, the more we learn, the more unanswered questions we seem to have.
So, after all this, we're left with a big maybe. Were the Anunnaki just legendary figures, or do those myths hint at something beyond human invention?
That's the million-dollar question. Sumerian civilization left us scattered clues, a language nobody speaks anymore, tablets that still puzzle experts, and stories that feel oddly out of place for their era.
Sometimes I wonder if we're just reading too much into ancient creativity. Then again, there are those lines in the clay tablets that seem to hint at memories of something not quite human.
It's that uncertainty that keeps people coming back to these stories, searching for answers. Maybe one day we'll have more proof one way or another, but for now, the Sumerians and their Anunnaki remain one of history's greatest enigmas.